Welcome to Miss Smart Muses. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses, where I forgot to plug in my really, really good microphone because I was so focused on getting my other things and ducks in a row. Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses and Teresa Travels. Today, where are we traveling to? Well, we're traveling a whole bunch of places. We are traveling to first class, more specifically, first class on an airplane. Uh, So there, I'm just going to take you a little bit on the tour. Unless I have extraordinary circumstances, I prefer to go first class. And there's several reasons why. And I'll tell you why as we go through this. But before anyone gets any like, what the heck? How are you able to do this? Starters, I'm able to do it because I almost exclusively travel solo. And even when I travel solo, I don't go in with other people. I'm single, so I pay for myself. It is so much easier and cheaper to go first class if it's just you. So let's just keep that in mind. The best way to go first class is to have someone else pay for it. If you're lucky, your business will, depending on what kind of business that you are in. Well, welcome everybody coming in. Welcome everyone coming in as we are going to go through my pictures of first class. They are not exhaustive. There are some pictures that are a little bit, let's just say, lost right now. On my older computer, maybe I'll dig them up at some other time. So without further ado, we're going to start with domestic first class international travel, more specifically what you will see on American Airlines and Delta. The reason why you're going to see a whole bunch of Delta is that is the airplane that flies to where I need to be the most, including international. And I like it. I really don't have anything bad to say about Delta. I might have something to say about the airline that has the same initials as Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know if I'm allowed to bash an airline here, so you know what I'm talking about. I have some issues with them and their first class. And I'll just tell you what, if you're going first class and you're paying that money, oh boy, you need to be getting the first class treatment. There was one airplane I flew on that airline where it was so old, it was like rickety. And I was thinking, is this even safe? My seat was, not the airplane. The airplane was rickety. I'd have gotten the hell out of there. And I'm just like, they really need to up their class here. Speaking of first class, from the first class country in the world, it is Potato Ribbon. Hey, next I'm going business on Aer Lingus. Yes, do it. Do it. Yes, yes. And you know why. You know why. And this is also something I want to make clear that international business is is above and beyond first class. So for the most part, go ahead and take what they call quote unquote business. It's amazing. And you're going to see, I'll show you where it's business and you'll see what we get. The first class is one notch up. True story. True story. My dad and I were flying back from Paris a little, 10 years ago? And apparently they must have flagged my dad for a good reason. And all of a sudden they're like, Monsieur, whatever, his last name. We'll just say it's Monsieur Martin. Oh, I see you are, a traveler and all this. And may we give you a tour of the first class? And so dad's like, sure. and the first class on some of these is unbelievable, and they usually only have a few seats. They're like hotel rooms, and they are expensive. We're talking 20 grand. That's my long way of answering that. And Aer Lingus, I will be very interested, Potato Revan, in you in your report on Aer Lingus's first class. I'm getting to the point where I might be able to start traveling internationally again, and maybe we'll all take different airlines to review them. Originally, my channel way back in the day was gonna be Teresa Travels because I was traveling like a wild woman, and then you know what hit? Something that rhymes with Movid, and so that's what happened. So maybe one of these days I'll have a secondary channel with that, but I am not getting ahead of myself. So Delta is fine. What about Alpha, Beta, Gamma? Well done. Archer Collins, well done. Well done. Let's see. Hello and good morning. We have an elf in the house. Yes, Precious, we have an elf in the house. Potato Revan says Aer Lingus first class and business were merged. Okay, yes. And that's the way it is on Delta. Air France, and some of those other ones like Qatar or however you're supposed to say it, I think that they are still separate. You can see those videos online. Um, though I kind of always say travel the best that you can. And if you can't afford first class, for our purposes, I'm always calling it first class. It is worth getting some of the extra comfort things, but for the price you get, the comfort versus coach, I'm not entirely sure it's worth the price, especially if you're traveling alone or traveling with family. Here's the thing: if you're traveling with family, you got 3 of you, and you don't mind crawling all over like each other like gerbils, go ahead and take economy if you can't afford all 3 of you. Let's put some perspective. If you buy an international ticket for first class, you're looking from 3,000 to 5,000 depending on when you buy the ticket. That's quite a chunk of change. There's ways around that, which I'll tell you about in a second. One of which is I have a credit card with points. So it is very frequent that I will not even pay for my seats in first class because I'm one person. But if you got 3 of you, you're talking $16,000. Like, oh, hell no, that's not going to happen. So when in doubt, ditch your family and travel alone. So last time I go first class. Yes, I have declared you first class. Sure, yes, absolutely. And maybe these Teresa travels. I'll take guests. Main reason I'm not right now is I'm just doing my stuff. Eventually, I'm going to run out. However, I have over at my folks' house because I've been going through their pictures. I have stuff from our travels from when I was 5 years old. The first international trip I took was to Puerto Rico. And then when we moved to Ireland in never mind what year, it'll age me a bit, but you all know how relatively old I am. I've said I'm in my 40s, and I said I was old enough to be 6 during Empire Strikes Back. Go do the math. And while we were there, we didn't get it at the time because we were stupid kids. But Dad's like, we're gonna freaking travel like you wouldn't believe it. Knowing now how much international travel costs, I know exactly what he's talking about. So if you want to go to England from Cork City, that's like going from New York to Washington, D.C. Actually, it's less than that. It's like going from Chicago to Indianapolis. And then you go for even, and then Ireland to Paris, which I've done a lot, even when I've been traveling alone from Cork City, because sometimes I go and visit Paris. It's the same thing. And then you get a car, and next you know, you're in Germany, you're in Switzerland, you're in Italy, you're in Spain, you can go anywhere. And so I understood that when I got older. Travel, if you get your butt over to Europe, do that. And if you want to see a lot of Europe, buy the ticket to the place that God graced with grace, Ireland, and then take a ferry to France and take a bunch of trains around and see that. Potato Ribbon says, my economy, yeah, Alcoholics Anonymous, from Chicago to Houston, it was a rickety plastic space. You could see the interior. Yeah, I was about ready to say, screw that. And I that was like the fucking first class was like that. I'm like, no offense to rural Indiana, but I mean, are we in rural Indiana? I don't have any problem with trucks that are falling apart, but guess what? That's not when you're paying. If you're paying for a Corvette and you get a rickety truck, screw that. And my ticket should cost 1,800 each way. Yeah, there you go. So you're looking at $3,600, and it is worth every penny. It is worth every penny. I'm legit too tall for economy. I'm 5'11", and I sympathize with that. M- Men with legs have issues. It's really hard, and it's really miserable to sit next to a man with legs. I remember I was so PO'd. I was traveling Southwest. I'm never traveling Southwest again. And the dude's legs were spilling out into my thing. And before I was going to say, like, oh, can you move your legs? I looked at the dude and then I looked at his legs and he was trying as hard as he could to not make those legs, but they're too tall. They're too tall. And there's been a bit of a debate about too large. I'm of the opinion you pay for what space you take up. And it is not uncommon to see larger people in first class. So if you got to buy 2 seats anyways, buy a first class ticket and you'll get quote unquote free alcohol. You don't have to pay for your baggage, quote unquote, and good food and premium service. Premium service. You don't have to do a darn thing. They look after you. That's my thinking on that. And even though I have complained about having to pay double occupancy, I understand. If I'm occupying a room, they don't care how many people are in there. You pay for the room. But I have been very pleased, for example, with Iceland in Care Castle. Care Castle. I wish I had the Care Castle, Care Hotel, where they actually have single beds and it's smaller rooms so that I could get that. And I appreciated that. Hello, you are a youngster, says Dad Man Walking. Why, thank you. Thank you very much. In my 40s. Ah, so young. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Archer, stay tuned because I know you've got your bow and arrow stuff going on, archery. And you've got the awesome, I believe, Northern English accent. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. Hello, everybody. Hello. Well, what the actual F? Let's see. The road warrior, men with legs. They should have to check them beforehand. I know, doesn't that sound awful? Men with legs. But men have legs. They just do. Now, I'm a tiny little thing. My legs, I think I'll show you some pictures. I think my legs, or at least my feet, are in some of these. It's like, woohoo, we're babies. We're babies. The time that it is worth traveling economy overseas, I did this with, I forget which airline, because when I go to Cork in July, when I did before COVID, you really, they had a deal that would fly directly into Cork. The only problem is you'd have to go through Manchester. Oh, wait, no, you don't anymore. I went to Dublin. That was it. I decided not to fly directly into Cork because it was easier just to take the train from Dublin to Cork than going through Manchester. Nothing against Manchester, but you have to go through a, a whole bunch of security just to transfer your flight there. But I was able to get my flight and a hotel at the Clarion on the River Lee for $1,500 for a week. You can't beat that kind of a deal. Yeah, so I sucked it up. I sucked up what you're about to see. Why are the tickets so expensive? For first class or business class? You'll see why. Some of us were around in the 1300s, apparently. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Potato Burn says, I sat behind a 600-pound girl. My legs were crushed, and there was a joist box underneath it. 6 hours, 8-hour trip. I had a panic attack in bathroom and cried. All the other way was great. It was an emergency aisle. I was in an emergency aisle. Yeah, emergency aisle. That's another trick you could do. They call it poor man's first class. If you can get into emergency aisle. And that's the thing. Even someone that large won't fit into a first class seat. But that that's a way around it. If that's just my opinion, I'm sorry, but that's just the way life is. There's lots of things I would like to do too, but I suck. And if you pay for the space, that's what you pay for on an airplane. And that's the other thing I was going to say, and that's where we're going to get to with Lady T. Lady T, because they can, and since they banned smoking, they are actually less fuel due to the need for air circulation. Oh, you're talking about, hey, don't get me started on smoking. because most of my life until I was in college, everyone was lighting up. And it occurred to me once they let us it was banned. I was like, everyone's lighting up in open flames in this oxygen compressed capsule of doom. Oh my gosh. And it was a joke because it's like, okay, the last 4 seats are smoking like an economy or something, and then all the smoke would waft. On the other hand, I don't want people being nervous. But I understand about the panic attacks, and that is another thing I have found. I am not a great flyer, though I fly all the time. First class can help alleviate that because you have the space to do what you need to do. Um, though I dated an aircraft controller when I was in my 20s, and that was one of the best things I ever did in my life because he explained everything to me. Be right back. Thank you, Archer Cullen. Haven't been anywhere working too much. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. We love our Lady T, Capsule of Doom. That's darn right. All right, let's get to the pictures. That's what y'all are here for. Now, I should say that the last time I have traveled business class / first class in internationally was 2016. So it might have changed. But from what I see with Delta, I haven't seen it change. All right. So this is first class on Delta domestic. I was not in my preferred seat. You'll see my preferred seat later. Well, I'll show you my preferred seat. That bastard is in my preferred seat, and you'll see why that's my preferred. But hey, it really sounds like a first class problem for me to sit around bitching about that. I don't know if economy has these monitors. I really don't, because I haven't been in economy's first. Last time I traveled economy was 2019, and that was international, and you always get the monitor. So here I am. So there's usually 2 across, and you see we're taking up loads of space. That's partly why it's expensive, because the equivalent there would be 3 seats across. So you're paying for the person that would be in between us here. Let's see. Potato Ribbon, I'm a great flyer. I love planes. Explained to my friend. She was nervous. I was being pinned in and 90 pounds heavier. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that's what that would cause panic attack if you were sitting on the ground. If you were if you were at a football stadium. Oh my gosh. Or anywhere on a bus. Whenever you feel compressed, it's always tricky. So here we are. And remember when I talked about having your own attendant? There he is. That person is at your beck and call within reason. And this is another reason why you'll see why I love this front seat. This is my seat right there. Okay. So he's just getting ready to start cabin service. Yeah, and once you figure out what all the signals mean, it makes a difference. The pilot signals, because they know what's going on, and I think that I feel a lot better about flying ever since I am ever since I started driving on a certain freeway in my city. When I'm like, you know what? I have more chances of dying here than I do on an airplane. Can I ask him to get me a McDonald's? LOL. No, you see, that's what I said, within reason. Within reason. But if you are a drinker, all alcohol is free, and they will keep it flowing. Funny first class story. We got stuck in Atlanta because we were waiting on something, whatever it was. And the dude next to me was quite gay. The chick behind me was drunk as F. And the steward was gay too, right? And he was just serving and serving and serving everyone. It's like, yeah, they're all delayed. So everyone in first class is getting sloshed but me. I actually was watching a documentary on the Queen, and the chick behind me kept trying to hit on the dude in front of me. I'm like, girl, do you have eyes? But then again, you don't want to stereotype. But how did I know he was gay? Because the whole hour, the steward and the dude were flirting. It was like, oh, I'm from LA. Oh, I'm from here. Oh, I knew that you were from LA because that's the only way people say things in LA. I mean, they were practically making out, you know. Their digits were gonna be exchanged. So this lady was a total Egypt. And then she's finally says, "Can I get another drink?" And in my head, I'm like, "No, do not give this woman another drink." And he was like, "Sure." I don't know what the rules are because if you're landed, you got to be careful. And I think on airplanes they have to be within reason. I think she was 3 drinks in, she was okay because you're not allowed to serve people beyond a certain point because then because it's dangerous. "Excuse me, sir," says the road roader. "You're having a midlife crisis. Can help you. Can you help me?" Yeah, something like that. Potato Brim says, "So you're saying I can get my girlfriend drunk? Sounds illegal, LOL." Well, you shouldn't. I mean, one of these days I'll give you my alcohol story. A cautionary tale. Digits, jiddy. Okay, so this is and now want to know a little trick? It's dark. Well, first of all, it's dark because I take the 5 o'clock in the morning flight when I heading to Florida. But also, they will dim the lights before the plane takes off because don't panic. If you need it, you'll feel happy about it. Your eyes will adjust. So just in case, God forbid, you need to have an evacuation. And it doesn't even mean a crash. Sometimes you might need to evacuate even on the runway because of a fire. Oh, hell, I don't know. Or what happened in the Miracle on the Hudson. So that way your eyes are adjusted because the lights usually will go out. Rule of thumb, do whatever the stewards do and the stewardesses. Gosh, we have to call them flight attendants now, don't we? If you watch what they do, during takeoff, they'll like put their hands on their knees. I mean, they'll be all chill about it, but there's just certain things like that. It's just like be cautious. And sometimes it's not even about crashing. Sometimes things bump around and it makes sense. And when you understand turbulence, find one of those pilots that'll tell you about turbulence. And it's just nice to be braced a bit. Whenever you hear on the news that people got damaged during turbulence, it's not because the turbulence didn't do it. People get hurt during turbulence because they don't put their daggone seatbelts on. And that's why you have your tray table up and your seat in the upright position. It's not so you'll survive if we go down in a big ball of fire. It's so that if anything like that will happen, and if it is a crash, your chances of seeing upright and being braced. Who wants to get whiplash? Yeah. A gay air steward, who would have thought it? Yeah, well, it happens. How's it going, Langers? I love it. I love it. Cork forever. Yeah, if you want to see the ongoing guys, you were cracking me up about the escape route, the freeway out of Cork. I'm sorry, out of Waterford. Y'all were, yeah, Waterford versus Cork. Cork rules. Hey, mountains, you gobshite. Yeah, great. Another Irishman. How are you doing? Yep. And hey, I saw what you said, Potato Rabbit. Slonlat. I said Schlonlat. I've been saying Schlonlat. Is that? I don't know why. Is it from? I don't know why. Slonlat, without the sh. Maybe that was because I studied too much daggone German. I don't know. But yes, thank you for the correction. You see, I can be corrected and not lose my crap and have to go on YouTube and talk shite about you and say you're the worst person ever because how dare you correct my Irish. I actually welcome people correcting my Irish because my Irish is pathetic. Oh, true story. Here we go. True story time, kids. The road warrior said, I had to evacuate one time because a crackhead started a fire in the bathroom. Holy Oh, I would have killed him. See, that's where if all the people on the airplane had gone and just kicked the crap out of him, that I would have loved it. I would have loved it. Hail, hi everyone. Oh, she spelled it with an H-A-I. Potato Run, do whatever the cabin crew do, aka have a one night stand with the have a one night stand with the air steward, then sit down with speak up and drink my feelings. Probably more true than we know. It's a numbers game, says Archer Column. You are extremely unlikely to be in a plane crash, but if you are, it is much more likely to be fatal. Correct. But if you're on I-95, You're dead anyways. True question, and they're usually sensationalized. But let's not talk about that. We want people to fly. Look at this okay, there's 2 reasons why this is so awesome in this picture, so I need to give a caveat. Remember I said that other bastard was in my seat? This is my seat. My seat is 1A. Look at that room. You get extra room with the extra first class room. This was extra because they were doing some renovations. So usually this is where the entertainment center is. So I had like extra room. I could practically lie down. If I'd have wanted to, I could have lied down with a sleeping bag and a pillowcase and slept. It's amazing. The only downside is you cannot have your carry-on with you, at least during takeoff and landing because there's no place to put it. But as I said previously, you're in first class, kids. The stewards and the stewardesses will do it, and you are guaranteed that space. There's a big old sign that says reserved for first class only. So those bastards that try to walk into the airplane like they do in Southwest and put the luggage into the very first row. So you get on and you're like your overhead space is taken. They can't do that. It's guaranteed. And I'm paying the same price as those people that were in the seats that I was showing you before with that kind of room. So you get extra room. And it's very simple. I just keep in a little handbag the things that I want to have, frankly, throughout the whole flight. So I keep my phone, my earphones. So they'll give you earphones if you want some, as well as my uh, my books, my crochet. That's the most important thing for me. I do a lot of crafting on airplanes because it's possible that sometimes things are just bumpy, and so you'll never be able to get up. You have to stay with your seatbelt fastened. So you won't be able to get to your luggage. Now, there's some stupid Egypts, and I usually tweet about it when it happens. The pilot just said, fasten seatbelts. So everyone's like, that must mean walk around and try to get stuff. And the one that really gets me is when the pilot requests that the stewards, that the flight attendants sit down. That means we're really getting bumpy, and it's not even safe for the air because a lot of times the air flight crew is they're allowed to walk around a lot more than we are. And then when some Egypt gets up, I'm like, you want to die. But I'm always mad because I'm thinking if that Egypt a big bump happens and that guy lands on me, and it doesn't have to be a big guy. If you're a little thing like me, a dude, if you're taller than 5'6", you're gonna crush me, okay? Men and women have different bodies. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. I had the opportunity to go on Concorde way back when. It was not exactly tall. I'm not exactly tall, and I could stand in the aisle and reach halfway to the windows each side. Yep. Wow, lucky you. When it would fly, it would always hit the speed of sound right over Kinsale. So when I would be in Kinsale having sleepovers with my friends over there, the boom would go off. It was always so cool. I mean, when I was on the ground, says Archer Collin, never flew on. Oh, I just got so excited. Although my parents flew to New York City when my late father retired. Mom worked for the BA. Oh, British Airways. I think British Airways has real first class. It's been a long time. The last time I flew British Airways, it was from London to Paris, and that was also in 2016. I did one of those multiple flight things. Mountains of Elysium says, I was on a plane that flew through a flock of birds on the way into land. They were reduced to a fine mist, and there were feathers and loud thumping as they went into the engine against the side. Yeah. And for the most part, that's okay. Everyone's fine, but you might get that occasional freak incident like what happened in New York with the Miracle on the Hudson. Yeah. I saw there's a show called Dogs with Extraordinary Jobs, which I can't stop watching, and one that there are actually some border collies that are trained to just run around beside freeway, sorry, airway, whatever the heck they land on, runways, and chase birds away from the area. It's hysterical. It's really funny because these dogs, it's like they're like, okay, we got some birds, and they just let this little collie loose, and they all just go ruff 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 ruff. It's awesome. Road Warrior says, Mr. Muses while flying, bring my fainting couch, monsieur. Okay. I have been accused of being a snob for a lot of what we're talking about, but it's not a snob to like to be comfortable. Potato says, saw a vid, a woman paid economy, walked into first class and demanded it for free for reparations. Cap threw her ass off the plane. She called him racist. I heard about that, and I think I saw a really bad joke about a similar situation. Oh, thank you. A moderator handed it because they tried to hide that. Okay. Untamed says, lies, lies. There's no such thing as a woman. True. That is right. And YouTube, since I am sucking up like you wouldn't believe it right now, absolutely. Everything Untamed Mando said is true. Speaking of which, I do appreciate everyone that's been coming in, my new subs, as well as people that are watching my vids. It is helping. I don't want to say what the trajectory is because I'm afraid I'm going to jinx myself. But yes, thank you, everybody. Archer Con says, oh, I had a fly plane over me a number of times. It was noisy. Then again, seeing it take off around dusk or dawn was amazing when they kicked in the afterburners. Oh, hell yes. Mountains of Elysium. I used to live a few miles from Kinsale, and yes, I loved hearing the Concorde creating a sonic boom. Yay! And my dad tried to freak my mom out and told her it was the Soviets just started bombing. If you know, you know. Because I remember in Ireland, the theory was that the Americans would fire and the Soviets would fire and it'd all blow up right in Ireland. I don't know if that was true, but that kind of crap used to scare us. I've had your vids on a playlist of watching all the Dimmies, so I hope soon. Yay! Thank you. Well, like I said, I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to say. All right. Now, this is across the aisle, and I, of course, have protected the person's identity. I'm not one of those a-holes that's going to show anyone's faces. This was to the right of me because remember, my seat's to the left. I think that this is without that extra space that you were just seeing. This is what you will normally find in the front row of first class on Delta. Look, you see, so you get a lot more space, and you even in first class, if there's a seat in front of you, you get a little bit of that closed in feeling. This is just completely open. And while she has her legs crossed here, you can see that she can pretty much stretch them out even more. And I've seen people even put their feet up on the wall, though I wouldn't do that. That's kind of rude. Unless you have those special socks you can buy at the airplane. And it's actually a good idea to do that when you're on an airplane, especially if you're on a long one. Get those compressor socks because even if you are fine, your diabetics absolutely should. But just if you're a human, so your your ankles don't swell up. It happens. Maybe it's a woman thing, okay? And we don't have to be pregnant for that to happen. Dub Airport says Potato Run has a huge drone problem. They are investing 10 miles this quarter into finding drones. Yeah. We see, and that crap's dangerous. It's like, I swear, if a stupid drone takes down my plane, I'm going to be pissed. If I die that way, really? Really? Come on. Use some common sense, you stupid people. I love Dublin Airport. On my Cork one, I think I showed that whenever I get off at Dublin Airport and I take that express bus to the train station, I always go straight to the little store there, the news thing, and get handfuls and handfuls of the black currant cough drops. And the guys always think, what the hell is this crazy American doing? It's like, you don't understand. We don't have black currant cough drops in America. And that's the first thing I get. And then the bloody French decided to freak out and cancel Concorde. Yeah. Well, I mean, that crash really was a tragedy. I don't know too much about that. But yeah, they do have a little monument to it, but at the French airport at Charles de Gaulle. Potato Ribbon said, I had to dismantle my crutches and store them away. Was like, how am I meant to get them? Logic fails. Oh, that's some bull crap. And then, like, how are you supposed to go to the toilet and stuff? I hope they give accommodations for that because they can back off with that. Road Warrior, femme spreading. If women were real, I mean, yes, that's true. But you see, Fem spreading isn't as intrusive as man spreading, but as I said earlier, I do not judge man spreading. It's not their fault for 3 reasons. There are 3 legs we're dealing with men, so I sympathize. And women that try to bitch about it, from what I've heard from men, it's like, "You have no idea how lucky you all have it." Alright. There was a TV movie called Countdown to Looking Glass about a TV news station following the buildup to a nuclear war. We didn't tell my ma'am it was a show and said nuclear war just started. You guys are awful. Your poor mother. Your poor beleaguered mother. Um, Mountainside, she freaked out, and it took my dad an hour to get him out from under the bed. An hour to get her out from under the bed. I was at first thinking your dad after your mother kicked his butt after she realized what he'd done. We were a-holes. Well, my dad used to do stuff like that to my mother. Uh, those stupid one road things like with a cliff you'll find out in the West in the Wild Atlantic Way. Once we were all driving along and he did this thing like he had lost control of the car. He had his hands. He was like, "Oh my gosh." And then he goes, "Oh, just kidding." We're like, "What a jerk." What are your thoughts on Allegiant? It's not all the airline that charges for everything, but it's cheap as heck. Huh. Don't go. I don't go on it. Because, okay, you're cheap, but then they nickel and dime you, so you may as well go on a real airline. And I'll tell you some tricks that I have used in the past. The reason why I say I've used in the past, because I don't know if they still exist. Archer Collins says, "Oh, the crash definitely was. I would never want to minimize that. And to be honest, I'm not sure Concorde was ever that profitable." Yeah. I think it was good for situations, for example, where you really had to get across the Atlantic fast. If you were a businessman or a diplomat, it makes all the difference in the world. Yeah, but Archer Collin, but I always blame the French. Have you seen my avatar? Yeah. True story about my granddaddy. He fought with the French or the French resistance, if you will. In World War II, he landed at Normandy. He fought all through the green fields of France, all of that to liberate them. And he said at the end of the day, he liked the German people better than the French. He said they had such a bad attitude. But hey, you know what? I also have lots of French people I adore. I adore them. It's also a bit of a joke, but I just always thought that was weird. That my granddad had that experience. Hello, Jacob Ironside. We're talking about first class. Dang it, we haven't even gotten to the international yet. So anyway, this is the way I usually travel, but obviously this is not me because my seat is 1A. Every now and then, some bastard gets 1A, so I will accept 1D. That's the seat over there by the window. Window seats are a lot better. You get that little extra one, and you can put your pillow against your the window, and that gives you some extra room as well. Good for sleeping, especially when I take the 5 a.m. one. My next flight, which I'm flying out on, I won't say which day, but I don't even know why I bother because I always take a picture. Is on for Is it Friday? Okay. Oh, see, this is an example. You get a much better entertainment system in first class, and it's even better if you're in the front row than having to look is smaller on the other first class seats. And this was the Euros. I was flying when that was on, and you can get television as well as different movies. So I was watching this match, and I was so happy because I'm glued to the TV during the World Cup and the Euros, which my schedule is so off because of Movid, but I think the Euros are next summer. I think they are. Well, and not only that, the World Cup was in the fall. Those jerks. Okay, grandpa. Oh, your grandpa parachuted in Normandy. Hell, dude. One of these days, it's past, but maybe like on Savior Day or something. Whatever when the World War II was ended, victory in Europe. Maybe we could tell tales. My granddaddy was not there on June 6th, but he was there after, and the fighting was still really fierce. He landed on one of those makeshift Docs. Potato Reverend says, oh, wait. Archie Collin, as I used to say in Breakfast in London, lunch in New York. Oh, breakfast in London, lunch in New York, luggage in Bombay. True story. I'd see the plus size lady who wants plus size to get a second free seat or third seat is needed and pay for one seat. Yes, and see that's what I was talking about. I actually, while I relatively sympathize, it's like I'm sorry. You're going to take up that kind of space, and you could kind of see with the other lady, and this is not uncommon. Sometimes people with bigger asses and stuff, they'll be in first class because they don't want to be the. First of all, it's more comfortable for the larger person too. Though that lady is so big, I don't even know if first class would help. I know that there was a lot of talk about, well, what if it's like a thyroid problem? And I'm very sympathetic to that. But I also think that there are accommodations in those circumstances. And if they're not, because there's ways around things. I know secrets. I know secrets. And you just got to be practical. And sometimes I think when people get a little bit uptight. It's like, listen, no one's making fun of overweight people. No one's making fun of even plus size people, or even criticizing because you'll still fit in a daggone seat. Okay, we're talking about situation where the person is so big, and I said earlier that you may as well buy a first class seat or something because if you have to pay double anyways, pay double for good. And France seemed World War II to come out of World War One totally demoralized. Seriously, cavalry charges against machines. It was crazy. Oh yeah, I mean those trenches were horrendous. Listen to the Green Fields of France. That song. First of all, it'll make you bawl. Second of all, it's good, and it wasn't just, of course, the French, because remember the Americans were over there, and the Irish. The Irish were over there, and so were the British. I do prefer going through Cork Airport, says Mountains of Elysium. However, it doesn't have the destinations Dublin has. That's the problem. Plus, if flying to the US, you do immigration in Ireland, which really saves time once you get to US. Oh, hail yes. Hail yes. I've got a secret to tell you a little bit about going from Dublin to America if you're going first class too. Because not only do you get to go through all that, you get expedited. You don't have to wait in a line with everyone. You get your own personal escort. So like we all told to go to the lounge, and then they're like, okay, let's all go, and we all follow the lady. We all do that, and then we go back to the lounge. Yes, it is easier because if you leave from Cork, I learned this the hard way. You got to go through Manchester. No shade against Manchester, but arriving at Manchester is great. I did that before when I visited a friend of mine in the Chester, but if you have to go through Manchester, or otherwise you have to go to Paris, then to Cork. It's just, and you may as well just go to Dublin, especially if you're a first timer going to Dublin. See Dublin. There's things in Dublin to see that are just amazing, and the Trim Castle and all that. And then hop on a train and go down to Cork. And also, I believe in first class on trains too. But trains are they got really expensive though in Ireland. They used to be when I was a kid. It was like, they were the 4 seats and benches, and no one gave a crap, and we probably all could have died, all the children. Yeah, yeah, I mean, and that's what we're talking about, and, yeah, the lady it's up for debate. It's up for debate. Shannon and Dublin have US immigration. Okay, I have not been through Shannon since 1983. Maybe I should try. But again, for some reason, I found that the tickets from where the airline I like to go on are more expensive to Shannon. I don't know if it's because there's not as many flights to choose from. I don't know. I watched a video, says Archer, the other day about Pegasus Bridge. Richard, okay, they're talking about World War One. I have thyroid problems. There's medication if you portion control and drink a lot of water. Yeah, it's not easy. I don't get me wrong. It's not easy, and no judgment. I will never judge anyone. I Anyone that has said they've never had issues like that are lying. And if it's not one way, it's the other. Bulimia, anorexia. Okay. It used to be, first of all, well, never mind. We're not going to go into that. Maybe another time. But yeah, I also do. I've had to have thyroid surgery, and I have to take supplements. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not as easy as it seems. And often it's not fair, but you have to work twice as hard as other people. But c'est la vie. Lady T, I have been to Hawaii twice, and there's nothing like the air when you get off the plane. Love it. Oh, hell yes. The potation lady isn't a thyroid problem. I've seen her. She is a body positivity athlete, a model. I spent 2 years losing weight, got into one seat, and lost 90 pounds since August. Well done. Well done. Yeah. Well done. And it's not easy. It's not easy, especially if you're in a situation where, like yours, or I found when I was working myself to the bone like an idiot, and Movid actually made me slow down, believe it or not, and realize I'd been wasting my life. Um, yeah, you don't have time. So what do? You work your butt off all day, you go through the drive-through, and then you sleep all night. And you don't realize how easy it is to get out of that habit. I do like it though that in Europe it's so much easier to move around over there. The road rodeo, I also would say the way they dealt with Germany. Yeah, okay. So, nothing against World War I talk. I'm glad y'all are talking about it, but I'm probably going to be addressing questions about the airplane. Um, all right. Heathrow is another option, says Mountains of Lithium, but flying into Miami was a horror. 2 hours plus at security. I've never flown through Miami. Cork or Paris, no question. But then which one was in Team America? Oh, Archicon, that's cool. Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna go on to the next question. Right. Next question. Gosh, I'm a friggin' teacher. So, anyways, that was me watching the Euros. Now, this is enough to make a grown person cry. This is not an uncommon sight. The dang dog gets a seat. But I mean, to be fair, if the people pay for the seat, they pay for the seat. But yeah, there's the dog. And he had a little they have their own little cute seat belts. It's quite cute. I like it when there's a service dog, or or a foo-foo dog, especially if they sit next to me. And I'll always say as I get on, I'll ask politely, "May I pet your dog?" And they're like, "Oh, sure, sure." And they're like, "Oh, thank goodness you like dogs." Because I do understand if people don't like dogs and they're sitting next to a dog, that could be a problem. I love doggies on airplanes. Here's another one. This one was behind me. He was in his own little seat there. So, yes, dang dogs get to travel first class. It's enough to make a grown person cry. All right. Um, Economy, I had to go through security twice in Dublin. Yeah. Yeah, security. I- I'm never too fussy though about security because the other option is bad. You know, baby must cuddle, ooh, boop, boop, yeah, yeah, cool dog, yes, exactly, I'll tell you, and they're so cute, and when the dog realizes that they're gonna get all the cuddles they want, oh, yeah, that dog will love dogs love me on airplanes, because sometimes the owners are sick of the dog getting all the attention. Paris was in Team America because no matter how hard you try, you can never make Cork look bad. Damn right! Looking at you, Potato Revan, I would shield him from enemy fire. The dog, yes. And Monday the actress was actually okay. Oh, absolutely, yeah. All right, let's go on. Oh, here is now. This was during my drinking days. You get free drinks, quote unquote free drinks. As you can see, I am not in 1A because some bastard took it. I have Prosciutto and stuff. So yeah, you get drinks with glasses. All right, now we're gonna go to international. Oh, I agree with you, Potato Revan. That's why I always say people meet me in Dublin and I'll show you the way out. It's like I'll be like dropping breadcrumbs for you. Now, back in the day, when I was doing a lot of traveling, was it between 2010 and then Movid? There's two ways, three, that you can get a first class ticket. They call this business, but I'll tell you what this is first class. One is you can get a last minute one and upgrade for pennies relative to what you would usually pay. I think we talked about you're going to pay a minimum of about $4,000 But uh, if you buy one of these last minute ones, you just pay a supplemental thing. I think it was about $400. So you get the first class ticket for like a fourth of the price. Works really well when it's traveling with one person, or when I have traveled with other people and they didn't, and one came up and I was like, every man for himself. Screw y'all, like in Home Alone. Another way is you just pay for it. Or the third way, they were being jerks at the counter because of the way I bought my ticket. The airline was not letting me pay for that extra few $100s. I was like, look, here's money. I want to give your company money. And the lady was like, we can't do anything about it. And then the dude next, and I already told you that because I came back again. She was being a witch. And then the dude next to her said, ma'am, come with me. And he just brought me on and he sat me in the empty seat. Boom, the end. Yeah. Don't be shy, but don't be an asshole. And I also often get these with points. Points is where you can really, really get a severe discount. You will. I've never known anyone that's been able to get an entire seat, a first class seat, business class seat for this, but you can do miles plus points and pay what, $700. So you get a $5,000 seat for $700. Oh gosh, you've been since 1991. I'm going with my girlfriend. If I abandon her, she may shank me. She's from Limerick. So yeah, hey, every man for himself. I wait. All's fair in love, war, and first class. I've flown a few airlines. Aer Lingus, KLM, Copa, all pretty good with good pilots. Usually an easy landing with American Airlines. Felt like we were using a catapult to land. I do not like AA. Do arms on first class, raise up to fully. I'm trying to. Well, you don't need them on this because you're in a pod, and that's what I was gonna. I'll show. I think you can see it better in a second. You on these international ones, it's just you. There's one. It's not next to each other. And in first class domestic flight, you get so much room. You don't even have an armrest that goes up and down. Do it, Mando. And you know what? Get one anyways. Because for one thing, you're going to meet me in Dublin and we're going to go do this. Another reason is it's so much easier when you change jobs or need to get your driver's license renewed. It is. Hey, potato. Yeah, everyone's nice. All right, so let's have a look here. To the left, this is not a telephone. This is to operate my television because you're so far away, and especially you need your remote. And if it's turbulence and you're not allowed to take off your seatbelt, well then this way you can do it. You have a light here. You can see I plug in my phone here. Oh, this is my little passport holder. You also have a normal plug-in, a recliner, and you can see here's my seat. It's seated upright, and there's my bag. I usually don't have that bag. I think my mom gave it to me. Because this was a tradition, what I would do in the summers, because I had to always travel in the summer back in the day. And when I was teaching full time, we would all, as a family, go to Florida, and then I would say, bye, everybody, and fly from there to Ireland or France or Iceland, and then come back, and then we'd have the rest of the vacation, and everyone hated me. But I'm like, hey, everyone for himself. It's like, you can come too, but you had to go and have all those kids. But I digress. I am a firm believer in families. This is one perk of remaining single. Everyone, it's like you can travel a lot more, or you can just say, screw you all, I'm leaving you behind. Here we go. This is another perspective. Now, this is before takeoff, obviously, because I did have to put my carry-on there, which is red, as is proper, above me. And it's so high and so big they have like a little step ladder thing that's in the side of it that you have to climb up on. Well, I definitely have to climb up on because I'm too short. Now, there is an area here. This is where you can put your luggage, but my thing didn't fit under there. But I put my purse and this was my iPad. Now, this is your monitor, but during takeoff, it has to be stowed here. Here's some magazines. To the right here is where I put my drink. And to the left here, that's where my tray will be coming out. So, yes, technically this is business class, but no, this is first class. um, Potato Ramen. I love security said I'm easy to find because my fingerprints on right hand have cuts on them. Ooh. Bird Warrior. I live in the smelly business class where you get to experience whatever your fellow passengers ate in last 6 hours for the next 12 hours. Oh, I haven't. I've had pretty good experiences. Oh, no, you would not. Would I get canceled for saying that that's a very girly bag, which is perfectly fine, of course. No, and I own my girliness. I own my girliness because guess what? I am a girl. I mean, you should see the I have around my house and the things I make a lot of it. I make a lot of it, and I like to wear girly dresses, and I like to have girly hair. All of that. I'm a girl. Orcs are misunderstood. A great bunch of lads. Are you talking about corks or orcs? I helped the lady who was 5'1" put up her bags and taken down. Aw, there you go. You see, look at nice people. It's very girly. It is. Hello, Dempsey. They're all making fun of my girly bag. And I'm saying, hell yes, it's girly. I believe that will be the particular spelling there. Actually, fungi. Oh, okay. That looks claustrophobic. It's not. It's big, dude. It's big. I mean, you know what's claustrophobic is being in a friggin' being in a friggin' tiny little seat on an international flight. It and I don't know if I have it on this one, but it might be another one where I show it a little better. Because I told you some of these pictures are stuck on my old computer and I don't have the cord to plug it in. All right, so this is a little bit later. As you can see, I'm here drinking some white wine and playing blackjack. There's my little thing. You use this to work it in your seat. It's really far away. Okay, the picture doesn't do it justice. I thought a tiny seat, you mean like a seat, like me seat was 18 inches wide. Yeah. Girls are awesome. Yeah. The airport code for cork is orc. Oh, yeah, I didn't. Hence the joke. I understand. Anti-Manda says I'm still a tomboy, but fine being a girl who isn't girly, but I don't hate on girly girls. No, there's nothing wrong with being a girly girl. Because, all right, if you had the choice to dress up like Eowyn and curl your hair like the way she looks in that one scene when she's handing the cup to Aragorn, I mean, come on. You got the opportunity, do it. We are very fun guys here in Cork. Damn right. Cork forever. I do have my love letter to Cork, and if I'd have known, Elysium, I probably would have had you on. I didn't know you were from Cork. Potato Revan's the one who helped me out with that. Okay. This is a bit of a crooked picture. It's a really awful picture, but you can see my feet here. I am currently just lying down. And for the majority of the flight, that's the way I was, because why sit up when you can lie down and, chill? And you can put on your seatbelts while you're lying down because they have like seatbelts that go around your body so that you won't get disturbed if there's turbulence. The only time they will interrupt you, and this happened to me once, is we were about to land and you do have to go upright. How much did you win? Nothing. It was just a video game. I sometimes hate the fact that kids play video games, but I know that my mother sure wishes we had those. The amount of times we crossed the Atlantic back in the 80s, if we would just played video games. Yeah. Now we did read a lot. I'm going out in Boston. Was ordered to find a pinstrip suit. We're going in June. My girlfriend is always picking out dresses. I'm used to girly girls. You see, dude, a pinstrip suit. Nice. Your airline fears make me jealous, said Road Warrior. I literally have to change shirts to get stranger sweat off my shirt after we land. I'm trying to come up with a good joke, a good cork DS9 joke. Nice. All right. So this one was, I forget which airline, I really do. This was going to Manchester, I think. Oh, now we're going to move over to Iceland Air. Now, I am not going to call this first class, and you will see why. It truly is. Saga class over there really is business class. It's very similar to domestic first class with just it being a little bit bigger. Put perspective on it though, when you are flying from America to Iceland, especially I always had to have to go through Dublin. Dublin, my gosh, what's wrong with me? New York. It's like a 4-hour flight. It's not a long flight. It's like a domestic flight. Iceland's like right in the middle. And not only is it right in the middle, it's like straight up because it's so high of a latitude. Triple M says, Dempsey, do you ever find yourself making music with random objects, drums? I do that in beatboxes, never to remember tunes for making music. I personally don't, but to each their own. That's interesting. The plane number appears to be all letters. Oh, let me see. It is. Well, and you'll see, I think there's some Icelandic on here, or maybe it's some videos I have with Icelandic. Gosh, I can't understand it. Darn thing. Everything, though, in Iceland is in English. And the reason for that is they are so dependent on tourism. And if you don't speak English, English is the common language because Icelandic is incredibly difficult to learn. And it's not like a language people are going to go around and learn. So you don't have to worry about it. But it is kind of badass when you see Icelandic. All right. So this is just showing where I'm going. And oh, I left from Philadelphia that time. Okay. All right. Going to Iceland. All right. So here is the seat. Look, there is my seat, and you can see my red bag fits underneath, and they give us like a little thing to prop up our legs on, but you're not going to have a lot of room. Not going to have a lot of room. Here is Icelandic water. Yay. And I didn't go showing that off, and you can also see it here. Next, Paris. This is me leaving from Paris to Toronto. This is Air Canada. No, it's not. I'm out of order. This is back on Iceland Air. Oops. I have more pictures of Iceland Air. Again, you can see where I have the little seats here, and they always drink you with a drink. Look at that Iceland cream to go with my coffee. When breakfast, quote unquote, came around, understand, even though you're doing the whole overnight red line thing, the night doesn't last very long. They gave you a croissant with coffee, a barf bag. I thought it was really cool. The barf bag has facts about Iceland. It says, please feel free to keep this bag and add it to your collection of aeronautical memorabilia. I'd panic in those seats. I'm presuming that TF is Icelandic designator. Icelandic water made from distilled hurdy-gurdy volcano. Yeah. Maybe. They're big, though. They're big. Again, if the alternative is to be in an economy seat, and you get loads of room, and you get loads of service, and there's only 2 seats. Oh, I thought this was cute. This is the seat of Thor, the god of war and thunder and protector of mankind. That was the seat I had. I had Thor, and each seat had a different god. And as you can see, it's in English because if it was proper, as I have been told by somebody I know from Scandinavia, they call it Tor, like Tor. But since we suck in English, when I say we suck, just the sounds are just too hard to make. Thor. There I am, Reykjavik. This is me leaving Reykjavik. Okay, so this is me coming back. Yeah, Jacob Ironside says, that's nice. You can learn about Iceland as you throw up. Darn right. I hope you emptied the barf bag before you took it home. Yeah, no, I do not get airsick. This was me. You get a gift. Usually, you get a fancy thing to take with you when you are traveling first class or business class. But here, internationally, I had an extra special gift from the Blue Lagoon because that's a big deal with them. It's a visiting place. Oh, I thought I had pictures of what was in there. I guess I don't. So it has all full of samples with the hope that you'll go, "Oh, I must visit this Blue Lagoon place." And I was able to keep the bag and I use it to store my crochet hooks. This was a snack before takeoff that they got for us. This is Sprite I had. I remember this, and it says Iceland Air and a little bit of popcorn. Let me get some of these comments. Wait. Aer Lingus planes are named mine with Saint Declan. Hey, you got a saint. You got a saint. So I sat on Chris Hemsworth's last. I wish. All right. So this was the year of they were celebrating 80 years above the cloud. Time flies. Ha ha. Iceland Air. So even your napkins. And here is the menu. You usually have choices. There's a starter, and they give you 3 choices, and dessert. And many have a wine menu. I don't remember if there was a wine menu on this flight. It's called Saga Class. Again, it's worth it. I did not initially pay for Saga Class on this flight. I got a last minute one, so I got the extra room and all the good food for relative pennies. Because I was okay flying economy. It's not a long flight compared to others. Oh, here's the case that came with it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Here's the inside. Hand cream, moisturizing cream, lip balm, and then a toothbrush and all the other stuff. Sample size, so they're like, please buy. And yes, you can buy a whole bunch of that stuff duty free, and it's expensive as F, but I love it. I use Blue Lagoon products. I drank the Kool-Aid. I visited there, and I will swear by it. Their products and the hot spring, what's in there, it's really good for your skin. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. 80 years above the clouds. That's a long time to wait in a landing slot. Potato ring. Can you send alcohol to someone else? I don't drink, so I send it to my girlfriend in her seat, in other throne seat. Well, yeah. If they're in first class, yes. You can't do stuff between because they want you to pay for it if you're in the back. But yeah, if you have your girlfriends back in economy, every man for himself. Look at this food. And because it's Iceland and all that, they're fish. So this was fish, obviously. I think you have a choice, but I'm like, if I'm going to freaking Iceland, I'm getting fish. So you had a salad, roll, some butter, a little chocolate thing for dessert, and vegetables. And oh, it is amazing. And of course, coffee for dessert. Dagnammit, not coffee. Coffee with your dessert. All right, now we're moving to Toronto. We're moving to the fish steak all the way. Ew. Archer Cullen. Oh, makeup. I wonder were they so fixed on an old Brooke Shields movie? They actually not a joke, sadly. No, I understand. Word Warrior. Airline saying, brush your teeth and put on lotion, you savage. Coffee. Say, I know that hurts your heart. And this is Air Canada. And you see, again, it's a big pod. And don't get fooled. It's bigger than it looks. It's not a small seat. It's a very big seat. So they had some blankets and some things for me. Here's my pillow and my quilt. Because when you do these overnight ones, yeah, you get your all made up like a bed. I decided to take a picture of this. This is not it completely down, but a good deal of the flight, this is the way I like to fly after we take off. You recline, it's very comfortable, but it will go completely flat. and you can make up a bed. Here you see there's a drink here. Yes, they greet you with a drink. Yes, coffee. There was a joke many years ago about plane crash survivors being embarrassed that they had survived on airline food because they'd eaten all the bodies. Oh dear. All right. Very comfortable. Oh yeah. And you see there's a little shelf there to the left where they will come and just put your drinks and put your coffee, sorry, Mando, and see the maple leaf there. And oh, nuts, they give you nuts. And once again, my legs are all spread out and everything, and you can see my feet. It goes halfway here. This is a huge area, and it reclines down into a bed. Here's my drink and stuff to the side. See this light? This light will remain on if when they turn out the lights, you can see it, and it's a blue light, so it won't disturb anybody. Airline food back in the day used to be famously, shall we say, not that good. Yeah. I think it's still kind of the same. They quit serving it on most places. I was told during World War II, American planes patrol used to develop quote unquote engine trouble and land in Cork. The crew used to go to a restaurant in Cork while the plane was being fixed and fly home. Yeah. Well, I think it's worth having engine trouble to hang out in Cork. This you can see it a little closer here, and that's also where your tray will come out. This is the way it looks at night. The they're showing you all the different ways you can recline. At this point, I do have my blanket out, but I'm not quite ready to go to sleep. I watched a movie a bit. Let's see. Oh, and here are the other things. So they're all glowing. I would say Air Canada is definitely better than Alcoholics Anonymous for business first class, whatever. If you have the chance to go Air Canada, it's better. All right. Oh yeah, I was watching Cinderella. That's what I was watching. Oh, and you've got check this out. This is my tray, and then they come and put a fancy tablecloth on it. That's what you're seeing here. People were told to close the blinds when we hit sunset and rise because the sun's in the window. Precisely. That's one reason, says Archer Carlin, first class is so expensive they probably could get 3 rows in the same in a room with second. Yeah, precisely. You're taking up the room. Which reminds me, do the cabin crew still do their exits are here dance before takeoff? Yes, they do, but nowadays it's on the monitors. One time though, the monitors weren't working, so they did do it. And it's a dance, but I've learned since that the reason they do that, including the seat belts, is because during a crash and stuff, you want to be on, no pun intended, automatic pilot, I should rather say, during an evacuation. So you just automatically know. So it's almost like a subliminal thing that's like reminds you, look, the exits are here, exits are there, and this is how you open your seatbelt because the way you open your seatbelt is different than a normal seatbelt. When I went last year, it's both. Okay. Right? Yeah. Oh, here we are. I just love it. The geography teacher in me likes how you can see the Great Circle. So when you go from like France across, this is the Great Circle you take. When you go from New York or Philadelphia, like that one time, to Reykjavik, it's like almost like a straight circle. It's not much. And when you go to Germany, you actually go way up over Greenland. Oops. Okay. Here I am getting ready for dinner. And as you can see, I decided to prop my feet up. There's the menu. The lady next to me has it too. You can see it's like a pod. Here's my oh, we're starting with dessert. I have this completely out of order. Canada turbulence is awful. I have not. Archer Collins. Yeah, and some of that has to do with what is it? The Mountains, I think there's certain mountains that can cause certain kind of turbulence, especially when you're landing. That's why Colorado has issues. All right, here is the main course. I don't even know what the heck this is. But you see, I had some red wine here, whatever this is, salad, bread, butter, and a salt and pepper shaker. And I don't know what that is. And lovely silverware. Oh, wait, that wasn't the main course. This was the starter. I remember this now. That was friggin' pate. That's what that was. Oh, gosh, it was nasty. This was the main course. It was steak. Steak, tomato, and potato. Hey, potato ribbon. Because it's not a meal without a potato. I asked, says Archer Common, because there's great post-patashi of airline travel in that book. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll read it. Right. Ah, the dessert trolley. It's fancy. It's fancy. You can see the people on the other pods there. These are very, very big. It has desserts. It has coffee. And it was a separate one because they did come around with a wine trolley. I guess I didn't get a picture of the wine trolley. And for the most part, I really do try to protect people's privacy and not take pictures of them. Uncle Steve at least went out with steak. Oh, dear. All right. This was dessert, or one of the desserts, or the appetizer. I don't know. They feed you so much. I'll tell you what. Cheese, all the various kinds of cheeses and grapes. And as you can see, I'm pairing this with my red wine. I'm hoping I would had Pinot Noir because that's a good one to pair. But you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. This is perspective on the bed. When it turns into a bed, it is like a decent sized twin bed, completely comfortable. It lifts up. And I kept it on here because I did watch more of the movie before I fell asleep. And it's nice. I ate my uncle, pod people. Oh, dear. And you can't see it, but underneath my blanket, I do have on my seatbelt just in case there's turbulence and I don't have to get woken up. And I've learned that you can kind of make it so that the stewardess can see that your seatbelt is fastened. Saves you trouble. Is that it? Surely that's not it. It is it. Oh, here's a preview for my Close Encounters of the Third Kind video. The Solfege bro moment. If you want to know all about Solfege, tune into that. So this is all I have. I have more pictures. They're stuck in my stupid old computer. So that is first class on an airplane. I have pictures from first class on a train. Not quite the same. I think that first class on a train can be optional. What you get, though, by going first class on a train is you will get a designated attendant, and what you won't get are teenagers and college kids, all those backpackers. So, looks nice. It was. So and this is the reason why I say it's worth the money. If you've ever been overseas and had jet lag, especially when you go from America to Europe, if you can get your butt asleep as quickly as you can, lay out your bed, and you can get a proper sleep, it will make your jet lag experience a lot less unpleasant, if you will. It will have the time, and you will be far more rested when you arrive. When you don't, like, I've found that even when I fall asleep, sitting upright in an economy seat, it's like you fall asleep, but then you, like, jerk yourself awake because you feel like you're falling. You're not really properly asleep and rested. Jet lag spicy, LOL. Oh, yeah. And if you've never had jet lag before, get ready. especially when families travel, they're like, "What's wrong with us? We all hate each other." And it's like, "No, you just haven't slept." That's just all there is to it. And when people don't sleep, bad things happen. So there you are. That is, oops, wrong button. Traveling first class on airplanes, and maybe I'll get some more with different airlines, as I said earlier. But I just don't like to fly anything but the one I'm flying, mainly because of the route. I need the route. And the only other one is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I ain't never doing that again. Potato Ribbon says, "There's pics of me traveling asleep. Joke is I slept my way around the trip." Oh, dear. Yeah. Yeah, if you can sleep, it'll make things nicer. Oh, it's an interesting what will be held for review. That's weird. Hmm. That was cool. Thanks for sharing. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and sign off because it's 12:30. I do have an 8:30 tonight, a pub crawl with John Trent. It's going to be a pub crawl slash Catholic splitting. We're what, 9 pubs in, and suddenly, you know how it is. There's that one person, you've drunk too much, and suddenly you burst out into politics. Well, we're bursting out into religion. But it's I hope that people will enjoy it and listen to the dialogue that we will be having. It's going to be called Converts and Reverts. So tonight at 8:30 Central. I hope to see you all here. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to be getting the thumbnail and sharing out the link relatively soon. As always, if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you could, watch some videos for me. The watch hours are happening. It's happening quickly. So I will appreciate that. And you will get cookies when you go to heaven. I'm not sure that's in the Bible, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. Bye, Teresa. Great show. Why, thank you. Thank you very much. Good luck and fortune. Thank you, Dad Man Walking. Yeah, good times. Yeah, you're the real Civil War dude. I'm hoping to be able to do a Gettysburg extravaganza. Like do January the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd, and maybe even before that. Definitely smash the like button. Yes, thank you very much. God bless. Bye. Oh, sorry. Talk later. God bless you, Langer. I'm hoping you're talking to Elysium, but it's okay. I could be a Langer too, because that's where Cork. I guess Cork is where all the Langers are. Thanks, liked, and I want them cookies. Yeah, gosh, it almost makes me want cookies. Oh, Gettysburg. Wow. Oh, hell yes. Yeah, I've been to Gettysburg, but you know what I mean. It's a fantastic battle. If you can have a fantastic battle, if you know what I mean. Archer Collins says, maybe an excuse to rewatch North and South. Aha, yes. Though North and South, that's only a small port, Gettysburg. Now, the movie's Gettysburg. It's, in my humble opinion, one of the best ones, especially the way they show the Battle of Little Round Top. If I had a complaint about it, it's that because they decided to go with PG, I think it wasn't even PG-13. I think it was PG. They couldn't quite show the brutality of it, but it definitely was really good. Maybe hit the Virginia battlefields in the fall. You may hit the battle. Yeah. But yes, North and South. Do not discount North and South because a lot of it's a soap opera. It is actually incredibly solid historically. John Jakes knows his stuff. And the way that they depict the Maines and the Hazards and what they were going through and how they were at the same class, the class of 46 in West Point, that is absolutely accurate to history. That class of 46, all of them went to Mexico and fought together and learned how to fight, and then they were fighting against each other in the Civil War. George and Ori are just fictional. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Did you see any of the ghosts at Gettysburg? Oh yeah, I didn't personally see. No, but it's haunted. You don't have to have real ghosts for a place to be haunted. Loved watching Gettysburg in the theater. First time I ever got to experience an intermission. That is true. The movies Glory and Gods and Generals are good. Yes, Glory is probably my favorite as far as overall. And because it was rated R, they could go places other movies don't, including how awful it was in the North and in the South. Yay, but all those ladies in Civil War era dresses, I believe that a lot of the extras in film get that is correct. They wouldn't have been able to afford it, all of those extras, and they brought their own clothes. Yes, I love Civil War dresses. I used to be a reenactor. I have all the dresses, and yeah, the Mexican War made a lot of connections between generals on both sides. Correct. And this is what just blows my mind about the Civil War. A little bit of a preview about well, it's not a spoiler if it happened in 1865. After the war, a lot of them really did resume their friendships. The way George and Ori, well, I don't want to give anything away, but it's true. Like Grant and Longstreet and a whole bunch of others. And at the end of the war, when they were receiving the surrender, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, he was the Forrest Gump of the Civil War, in my opinion. He's everywhere. He was receiving the formal surrender, and he ordered his troops to salute them as they were. Archer says, I'm really certain that Nick on History Bus has a review of Gettysburg. Yes. Great soundtrack, and most requested to play their own ancestors. It's Potato. The Gettysburg Esther threatened to leave if it wasn't accurate, and that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gods and generals, people, especially gods and generals and aspects of Gettysburg, people aren't comfortable with, but I'm like, hey, that's the way it was. And the ones in the South, it was a little more gray, no pun intended. People were told to close the... Oh, wait, that's an old one. Why are these old ones coming up? Those friendships led to more problems. Example, Longstreet was viewed skeptically because of his connection to Grant and others in the North. That is correct. Well, and not just that. Longstreet added insult to injury by actually serving in Grant's administration. Leave a comment after the stream. It helps. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Potato Reverend. Yes. Well, your Civil War. You talk about something that'll break people's heart. The Irish Civil War. Potato Reverend says, after our Civil War, actually, I got to get rid of my pen. I'm fidgeting. After our Civil War here, my grand said her dad couldn't look in the eye of his little brother as they fought on different sides. My grand didn't meet her uncle until he was 85 years old. Yeah. Yeah. It was a different kind of Civil War. The American Civil War is weird. I tend to believe that the more accurate term is the war between the states, because I think that describes what it was. It was not a civil war, but yeah, the Irish Civil War, so sad. Bet you couldn't make that today, says Archer Collin. No one would want to play the South, which makes you wonder how modern day Civil War get on in the insane states. Well, anywhere. You know what? I should probably check in with some of my old friends. We were North because I lived in the North at the time. But yeah, that people can't understand that you've got to show history as it is. All right, with that in mind, I do need to go because I need to rest my voice. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a great day. Have a great day. And be certain, if you can, to fly first class.